Serverless observability is often considered to be highly complex and very difficult to manage. With Coralogix, it's really easy, and today I'm going to show you how to do it with an AWS Lambda. I've created one already called OTel test function, and I've got some simple code here. This is basically just the sample code. I've added my own console.log, so I can still get to write some code. And what you do is you click on layers here, and you can see at the bottom that you have this layers setting. You hit add a layer, and then you can click specify an ARN. Now to find your ARN, you actually go to the documentation here. There's a big long list of ARNs. So what you do is you go to the top and you find out what region you're in. I'm in US East 2. And then I click find, and there's US East 2 already for me. And at the top here, I pick this one, which is my x86 architecture. If you're using ARM64, then you'd use that. I'll take the x86 architecture myself. I paste this in and I verify it. And Amazon tells me that these are the compatible runtimes, these are compatible architectures for this layer. I click add. And now AWS has added this layer to my Lambda function. That's pretty much it. All you have to do now is set some environment variables. Now, because there's a private key involved here, and I don't want to show you that, obviously, what I'll do is I'll simply talk you through it because it's very, very easy. So step one, you have to get your domain. To get your Coralogix domain, you simply open up this documentation here in the link, and you look at what the team name is. So in my Coralogix account, it's chris.cooney.coralogix.com. So I can see that my domain is coralogix.com. That's my value. If you see app.coralogix.us or eu2.coralogix.com, then you use one of these domains. So that's your first environment variable, and you set it to that value. Your private key is really easy to get a hold of. What you do is you go to the send your data page, and up at the top right here is your private key. This is your private key that you set as environment variable. And finally, the reporting strategy. So the CX reporting strategy is all about how busy your function is. So for example, if it's very, very, very frequently invoked, then you would set it to low overhead. Now, what low overhead does is it will batch up your data and it will send it in bulk. However, this can result in delays, but it does lower the billable time on the function. So if it's very, very busy, low overhead's a good idea. Report after invocation, recommended for rarely called functions with short to moderate execution times. So what this means is that if it's not called very often, but it's only a very, very short function, then or a very short executing function, you would use this mode. And finally, report during and after invocation. This is for long-running functions that don't run very often, and it doesn't matter if you add a second or two onto the function. This is the most rigorous way of sending the data. So choose the one that's most appropriate for you. This is a very fast function, so I'm going to hit report after invocation. So those are the three environment variables, and once you've set them, that's you. And then you can just invoke your function. And you can see that it's running. You can even see that the environment variables are working because there's no errors, and you can see that things are being invoked and initialized and things, which is great. So what you can do once you've got that in place is you can go into Coralogix, and you can see that you're now receiving data, which is amazing. And you can explore the data that you're receiving. So firstly, the Lambda function will send logs, traces, it will produce metrics, it'll do all sorts for you. So this is really powerful because the data is already sorted for you. So you can see a bunch of really interesting things here in the trace and the span, the name of the function, even the invocation. So these are your logs. Next, you can see the traces that have been ingested. Again, super powerful. You can render out this information. You can have a look. So obviously, it's just a function on its own. So the trace and the span is very straightforward. There's just one node. But looking at this data in separate views is cool, but what you can do in Coralogix is you can set up custom dashboards as well. So this is one I've made earlier where I've defined the function invocation count, the function durations, and actually the function durations is really interesting. I'll get onto that in a second. That's based on spans that I've converted into metrics, which I'll show you now. So you can see on this one dashboard, we've got metrics, we've got spans, we've got logs down here. So these are the logs actually generated by the Lambda function. And if we go into the data flow here, we can go into events to metrics. So what I've done is I've actually defined a data transformation process where the data comes in as spans, and I say, okay, that's cool, but with spans, you kind of view them as traces, you view them on a timeline, or you view them in a network graph. I want to view them in lots of different ways. So what I can do with Coralogix is I can actually convert that data from a span into a set of metrics, lambda duration and lambda duration response. And then what this enables me to do is to define dashboards and all sorts from this. So for example, if I take this here and I open it up, you can see that I'm actually using, if I move myself out of the way, you can see that I'm using some function metrics there, which is really powerful. And if I open this one up, you can see that I'm using the metric that I generated from the span. So on this one dashboard, we're actually rendering out spans as if they were metrics. And I think this is really part of the power of Coralogix, okay? It's not just about ingesting all the data and rendering it all. It's about giving you the flexibility to transform the data inside of the application. Remember, metrics are very, very efficient. So if you want to hold on to that data for a very long time, you can, and it's no problem. So these are all just some of the simple ways that you can integrate serverless data into your platform, but then really step it up and dial into some of the most powerful observability features on the market today. And all of this whole video has taken me just over 5 minutes. Integration was like a 3-minute process. So this is just an example of how easy it is to integrate. And once you're integrated, how easy it is to get all of the data in a way that you want, in a way that's operationally useful for you. Thank you.